Hi, my name is Aditi Gupta and I am from Menstrupedia. So you want to conduct a menstrual awareness workshop? We have just the right thing for you. We have created this video called Hello Periods video, which would make your job easy and super fun to teach girls about menstruation. And the good news is that these Hello Periods videos are available in all Indian regional languages. How cool is that? So what does an effective workshop looks like? It should have activities so that it is fun and engaging. Teaching points. Teaching points consist of everything that you want to teach the girls. And then Q&A to ensure that whatever you have taught to them, they have learned and understood. Now I'm going to tell you about the workshops that I conduct in various schools and communities. These workshops take about 45 to 60 minutes in all. Now I'm going to tell you about the things that you would need for the workshop and the activities that I'm going to suggest you. First is Hello Periods video. If you don't have Hello Periods video with you already, you can download it from here. You would also need a handy list of questions and answers which are also available in the same link. A picture of the female reproductive system, you can download it from the same link. One blank paper and a pen or a pencil per girl. 3 different colored ink or color tubes. I prefer red, green and blue. And I would strongly recommend you to make Menstrupedia comic book available to the girls during the workshop. The link to get the books is here. Now let's look at the structure of the workshop. The workshop and the Hello Periods video is divided into 5 sections. The first section talks about growing up. Second section talks about nutrition. Third section talks about physiology of menstruation. Fourth is about preparing for periods. And finally, the 5th section, which is about maintaining hygiene during periods. After each section in the video, you would see a screen like this. These screens are called pause screens. So whenever you see a screen like this, pause the video there and make sure that the girls have understood all the content and the concepts that has been taught in the video just before this screen. Now let me walk you through the workshop in detail. Activity 1, clap together, time 2 minutes. As you begin the workshop, it is always a good idea to do some ice-breaking activities that would create a comfortable and cheerful environment for the workshop. One of my favorite activity is clap together. In this activity, the audience has to clap as many times as the number that is announced by you or the trainer. For example, if you say 3, the audience should clap thrice. The only rule of this activity is that everybody has to clap together. It should be one sound. Tell the participants that it's a game of unity and everybody has to clap together. The fun is to say 1, 2, 3, 4 randomly and quickly so that the audience keeps clapping and trying to coordinate with each other. And then trick them by saying 0. At least some of the participants in the room would still clap, and this would make the audience burst into laughter. This would lighten up the mood and you're all set to talk about periods. Activity 2. I like to, time 5 minutes. Once the ice-breaking activity is done, let's move on to the other activity. This particular activity is done to establish the fact that a healthy mind and healthy body is essential to enjoy life. In this activity, ask the girls to write 5 things that they like to do the most. Popular answers would be I like to dance, study, paint, play and so on. Give this activity 5 minutes. Pick up one of the answers from one of the girls and ask if she would still enjoy the activity if she is ill or she is feeling sad, and probably she is going to answer no. At this point of time, you should explain the girls that how to enjoy life to its fullest, one must be healthy physically as well as mentally. And periods are a very healthy process of our body while growing up, which almost all the girls go through. And that is why we are having this fun and informative session on periods. Section 1. Puberty and growing up. Once the audience is cheerful and comfortable, start the Hello Periods video and play the first section, which is about puberty and growing up. Do not pause this video until the first pause screen appears. The first pause screen is blue in color. This screen concludes the first section. After the section, you must talk about the topics that were covered in the video. While explaining, dedicate some time to discuss about vaginal discharge because there are many myths and misconceptions related to it. The way I like to explain about vaginal discharge is by giving examples of other openings in our body like mouth, nose, eyes, ears, and sweat glands. These openings secrete different kinds of fluid to keep themselves clean and regulated. Our mouth produces saliva, our sweat glands produce sweat, and our ears produce earwax. Similarly, vagina produces vaginal discharge to keep itself clean and regulated. While talking about vaginal discharge, it is important to talk about what is normal and what is not. Tell the audience that if the vaginal discharge is whitish in color or sticky and clear, it is completely normal. But if it is yellowish in color or it is emitting a foul smell, it could be a sign of infection, and in that case you must go and consult a doctor. Comparing vagina with other body parts will make it pretty comfortable and easy for you to talk about it. The first section also talks about the 3 openings between our legs. It is important to teach about the openings between our legs because if we do not know what are these openings, we would not understand the importance of keeping them clean. If we do not keep our groin region clean, it can easily lead to UTI, which is urinary tract infection. In this kind of infection, you would feel burning sensation while urinating or also feel severe itching in that area. And that is why it is important to acquaint the girls with the anatomy of genital area. Since the audience have just learnt about the 3 openings from the video, I asked them to speak aloud the names of those openings one after the other. It is quite empowering for the girls to shout out loud words like vagina, urethra and anus because these words are censored. Shouting the words out loud removes the shame and stigma around the words and hence the body parts. Believe me, nothing is more fun and exciting than witnessing a room full of girls shouting vagina. But sometimes the audience might not feel comfortable at the beginning to name their genital parts. In this case, I ask them to repeat the terms after me.
ठीक है, पहला कौन सा होता है? बताओ, मूत्र मार्ग. मेरे पीछे बोलो. मूत्र मार्ग. दूसरा कौन सा होता है? योनि मार्ग. योनि मार्ग. और तीसरा? मलद्वार. मलद्वार.
It is important to tell the audience that the place from where we urinate and the place from where we menstruate are 2 separate openings because this is a common misconception among girls and women. This particular knowledge helps the girls to try out different ways of managing their periods in future, like tampon or menstrual cups. One of the major reasons why women do not use menstrual cups is because they think that they have to take out the tampon or menstrual cup out every time they go for peeing. Talking about cleaning the vaginal region, I always give the example of eyes. I tell the audience that the urethra and vagina must be cleaned in the same way we keep our eyes clean. Like we do not put any dirty water or very hot or very cold water inside our eyes. Also, we absolutely put no chemical inside our eyes to clean it. In the similar fashion, vagina and urethra must be cleaned. Just wash it by a splash of clean water from outside. Wiping should always be done from front to the back, that is from vagina towards the anus, and not the other way around. This would prevent accidental transferring of any germs from anus to the vagina. The genital area should always be kept clean and dry. This is an effective way of preventing infection. Conclude the section by making sure that the audience knows the answer to all the questions corresponding to section 1 in your handy list of questions. Section 2, Nutrition. Play the video again until it reaches the second pause screen, which is orange in color. Section 2 is about nutrition. One of the common misconceptions among girls and even their mothers is that anemia is caused due to the blood loss during periods. And since periods are an essential and natural process, anemia is also believed to be a part and parcel of this process. It is a myth and it must be debunked for the audience. Tell the audience that during the entire menstrual cycle, only 2 to 6 tablespoons of blood is lost, and this much amount of blood is easily replenished by our body in a matter of few hours. But since the menstrual fluid consists of mucus and other bodily fluid, the amount of blood that we see coming out of the body seems to be so much. Anemia, on the other hand, is a disease which is caused due to the lack of iron in the body. Tell the audience about the symptoms of anemia and how it can adversely affect their daily routine. Explain that as girls enter the age of puberty, their requirement for iron increases drastically. And that is why it is very important for girls to consume food rich in iron. Also, explain to them why it is important to consume food which is rich in vitamin C. Make sure that the audience remembers the sources of iron and vitamin C. Conclude this section by ensuring that the audience knows the answer to the questions corresponding to section 2 in your handy list of questions. Section 3, Physiology of Menstruation. Play the video again until it reaches the third pause screen, which is violet in color. This section is about the physiology of menstruation or the biological aspect of menstruation. Many of the misconceptions around menstruation arise due to the lack of understanding about the biological mechanism of periods. And that is why it is very important that the audience understands this section properly. You can begin by asking the audience to raise their hands if they get their periods. While asking this question, I raise my hands too. This is very important because initially the audience might not be comfortable with sharing this personal information. But when they see that I am raising my hands, they are comfortable in joining me in raising their hands if they get their periods. And you should also encourage other ladies present in the room, like workshop facilitator, female teachers or female doctors, and also mothers, if they are present, to raise their hands if they get their periods too. To have everybody raise their hands sends out a clear message that every girl and woman goes through menstruation naturally, and there is nothing to be shameful about it. After this exercise, you can expect the audience to be open and comfortable in understanding and discussing about menstruation. If there are girls in the audience who haven't started getting their periods yet, they might feel a little left out, and it is important for you to make them feel a part of the conversation. So I tell them that those girls in the audience who get their periods might understand what we are talking about, but those girls who are not getting their periods yet should also pay attention so that this knowledge would help them to be better prepared when they actually start getting their periods in future. To explain about menstruation, first talk about female reproductive system. At this point of time, show the audience a picture of female reproductive system for reference. Tell the audience that just like we have respiratory system, digestive system, similarly we have a system called reproductive system. To understand this system, we must remember these 4 body parts: fallopian tube, ovaries, uterus, and vagina. I make the audience repeat the names of these organs. Or I ask them to repeat the terms after me, like ovaries, uterus, fallopian tube, and vagina. And while doing so, I also point those body parts in the reference picture. Menstrual cycle is a slightly complex concept, so that is why you must recap the whole thing that is shown in the video by using the reference of female reproductive system. Keep the recap interactive by asking questions like why the uterine lining needed, or what happens when the egg is not fertilized by a sperm cell. To help the audience with further understanding, I use an analogy. I compare the egg released during ovulation with a guest visiting home. So I ask the girls if they have guests visiting their home, and the girls will say yes. And then I ask them, if your aunt is going to visit your home, does she calls you? And they will say yes. Once you know that your aunt is visiting you, you start preparing food for her. You also prepare a bed and a blanket for her so that she feels welcomed. And once she leaves, you don't need these bed and the blanket, and you put them back inside the cupboard, right? Similarly, the egg released from the ovaries is uterus's guest. To welcome it, uterus prepares a protective lining for it. If the egg does not get fertilized by a sperm, the protective layer or this blanket is not necessary, and it is shed out of our body through vagina, and this is called periods. The entire process is called menstrual cycle. Conclude this section by making sure that the audience knows the answer to the questions corresponding to section 3 in your handy list of questions. Section 4. Preparing for periods. Play the video till the 4th pause screen. The 4th pause screen is red in color. This section is about how to prepare yourself for your forthcoming cycle. It is important to tell the audience that menstrual cycle, as the name suggests, is cyclic in process, which means that you can predict the date of your next periods so that you can prepare yourself accordingly. One way to make menstrual cycle interesting for the audience is by comparing it with other cycles in the nature. For example, day and night, which repeats itself after 24 hours. Ask the audience what are the other cycles in nature that they find, and they would say seasons, year, or week. So once they understand this relation, it would be easier for them to relate with menstrual cycle and understand it. Explain how to calculate the length of a cycle. It is important to tell the girls that some of them might have their cycle length as small as 21 days, which means that they would get their periods twice a month, and some girls would have their cycle length as long as 35 days, which means that they would get their periods once every 2 months. Emphasize on the fact that both of these cases are absolutely normal. It is important because some girls get stressed if their cycle length do not matches with their peers, and they think that there is something wrong with them. While explaining the girls how to predict their next cycle, it is also important for you to tell that if the girls have just started getting their periods, it would at least take a year or 2 for their periods to be regular, which means that they can't accurately predict when is their next cycle going to occur, which means that they must be ready about it all the time by carrying a pad or an extra pair of underwears in their bag. Activity 3. Draw without seeing. Time 5 minutes. This activity is to demonstrate to the audience that in order to be healthy, you must pay attention to your body actively. Ask the audience to draw a simple picture like a flower, tree, house, or a butterfly by looking up at the ceiling. The rule is that they must not look at their paper. Now ask the audience to draw the same picture by looking at their paper. Now ask the audience to compare their drawing and tell them which one do they like, the first one or the second one. And most of them would be answering that they like the second one. Now you should tell the audience that the second drawing came out this well because they were paying attention to it as compared to the first one where they could not see what they are drawing. Similarly, if they would not pay attention to their food or what is happening in their body, it would lead to unpleasant experiences. But if they are taking care of their bodies, they are paying attention to their nutrition, it would lead to a healthy and happy body and happy life. There are a lot of myths and misconceptions around menstrual cramps. Many of the girls and even their families believe that menstrual cramps occur because of eating sour food or pickle. Another common misconception about menstrual cramps is that it is a punishment of committing some kind of sin. And that is why it is important to tell the audience that menstrual cramps occur because of the contraction of uterine muscles, which helps in expelling the menstrual fluid out of our body. I also like to give an analogy of sponge in explaining this concept. Just like you need to squeeze the sponge to expel the water from it, similarly, the uterine muscles are contracting and squeezing the uterus to spell out the menstrual fluid out of our body. And because of this contraction, menstrual cramps occurs and it is painful for some girls. Talk about different ways to relieve menstrual cramps. We suggest yoga poses as it does not have any side effects. Girls are often curious if they can take any medicine for pain relief. Please suggest them that they should consult a doctor before taking any pills. Conclude this section by making sure that the audience knows the answer to the questions corresponding to section 4 in the handy list of questions. Section 5. Menstrual Hygiene. Play the video until it reaches the 5th pause screen, which is green in color. Section 5 is about maintaining hygiene during periods. While you explain the audience about sanitary napkins, also tell them how often should we change them and how to dispose them properly.
सैनिटरी पैड को हर कितने घंटे में चेंज करना चाहिए? 6 आवर्स में. वेरी नाइस. के बाद उसको फेंकेंगे कैसे? रैप करके डस्टबिन में और उसको कभी भी फ्लश नहीं करेंगे.
It would be really helpful if you can demonstrate an actual sanitary napkin while explaining this. A lot of girls who are not aware about the proper disposal of sanitary napkins, they think that it is okay to flush them in the toilet. Once the sanitary napkins are flushed, sooner or later it is going to clog the drainage system. And that is why, as an instructor, it is very important for you to tell them that one should not flush the sanitary napkins in the toilet. While explaining about cloth pads, it is important to tell that the cloth should be washed and dried in the sun and must be stored in a clean and dry place. Drying the cloth pad in the sun makes it hygienic to use for the next cycle. Some girls have this misconception that if somebody sees their used menstrual product, something bad will happen to them. And this prevents them from drying their cloth pad or the cloth that they use during periods in the sun. As an instructor, you must debunk these myths. I simply ask them that would they wear a dirty cloth or would they wear a soggy underwear, and they all say no. So, similarly, I tell them that why to wear a dirty cloth which would cause infection in your genital region. A lot of girls dread to get their periods in school, and it is almost a nightmare to get your periods without being prepared. Tell the girls that they can approach a female teacher in the school and ask her for a sanitary napkin. It's always a good idea to carry a sanitary napkin in your bag so that they can use it for themselves and also help their friends if they get their periods in the school. At last, ask the audience to speak the hygiene measures that they should take on their periods. Conclude this section by ensuring that the audience knows the answer to the questions corresponding to section 5 in your handy list of questions. After the question and answers, play the rest of the video and move on to the next activity. Activity 4. Symmetry painting. Time 10 minutes. This particular activity is quite exciting and my favorite one. This activity is for creating a body positive image in the audience. It demonstrates how unique and beautiful we are in our own ways, and we must be proud of who we are. Tell the audience to fold a paper from the middle and make a crease like this. Now put one drop of ink of each color, red, green and blue, in the middle of the crease. And if you are using a tube color, then squeeze a small amount of all these three colors on the crease of the paper. Now ask the audience to fold the paper from the crease and smudge the colors. And then ask them to open it. What they will see is a symmetrical pattern along the crease of the paper. Now ask them if their pattern is similar to others, and they will say no. Take this time to explain that even if they had the same set of colors and they followed the same process, everybody's pattern is different and beautiful in its own way. Now tell the audience that similarly, each one of them is unique, different and beautiful in their own ways, even if all of them are girls. And we should be proud of who we are. That's it. Dedicate the remaining time to clear the doubts of girls if they have any questions. Thanks for watching. If you have any doubts or feedback, write to me at contact@menstrupedia.com. I would love to know how did your workshop go.